All right, guys, we're live. Welcome. Let me know that everything is running okay. Chat in on the comments. I'm going to pull up the chat right now. There we go. My computer's going very slowly today, so tell me if you can hear me and see me okay. And tell me where you're coming in from, too. And while we're waiting, because we always do, if you'd like to come work with me, you can go to stagereadybyshawn.com. All of my links are in my description box here on this video. We also have our Showtime posing bootcamp. So if you are going to be here for the Olympia and you'd like to stay through till Tuesday, right after the Olympia, we are doing a small, intimate girls weekend kind of bootcamp. It's going to include posing. It's going to include training. It's going to include nutrition and girl bonding time. We're getting an Airbnb. We're going to go out, have some fun. It's good. Awesome. We're in Florida. Yes. For those of you logging on, we always wait about 3 minutes. So like I said, type into the chat. Let me know where you're coming in from. So also, I mentioned this a few weeks ago, we are only going to be reviewing like major shows and previewing major shows. So there are several shows this coming weekend, including Atlanta. We have a handful of our own athletes competing in Atlanta. We have Inez and we have Angel, two of our wellness athletes that we sponsor are competing this weekend. So I want to give them a shout out. But like I said, we're only going to preview and wrap up the major shows, like, you know, we started with Tampa. Now we're going to wrap up the Masters Olympia for bikini. And then I want to talk a little bit about more stuff going on in the industry too. We always do that kind of thing. If there's drama in the industry, we're going to talk about it, right? We got Atlanta, we got Massachusetts. Awesome. So before we get into our wrap up today, you guys want to talk about the drama in the industry right now? Wow, just knocked over my light. Ooh, jeez. You guys want to talk about the drama? Type in, let me know if we want to know drama first, if we want to do the wrap up first. Drama won't take long. It's real quick. It's real quick drama right now. Do we want to talk drama or do we want to talk wrap up? And I do have, again, I've got my live going over here because your comments come up faster when I actually watch my own live versus when I'm here on my software. Drama. The drama. There's always something to have an opinion about, right? There's always drama. There's always drama. So the current drama, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but there is a women's physique competitor who is born female, presenting as male, basically, in her everyday life. So the drama right now is they're talking about should she be allowed to compete or not in women's physique. She has short hair. She also has a beard. So the question is, should she be able to compete in women's physique as she presents basically in her real life as a male? And also, should she be allowed to compete with the beard in women's physique? Because it is clearly a masculine trait in a feminine division. So before I give my 2 cents, let me know if you've heard about this or not. That's the first thing. And the second thing is what do you guys think about it? What's your thoughts? I will give my 2 cents always. I always give my 2 cents. Yes. Oh, awesome. Yes, one of our attendees right here comes to the boot camp. That's awesome. It'll be a lot of fun. I got a lot of fun things planned. So what do we think? So again, the woman that we're talking about, she is born female, competing in the women's physique division. I don't know a lot about her other than like when you look at her social media presence and things like that, she does present as if she's male. So do you feel like she should be allowed to compete in women's physique? And do you think that the facial hair is a problem? Go ahead, give me your 2 cents. I'm gonna give you guys a minute. I know that the stream is a little bit behind, so I always wait for comments to come in, and then I'll give my 2 cents. And yes, we have a couple of tickets left for the boot camp. If y'all want to join, that link for the boot camp is in my description box here too. So we got any thoughts on this drama? This kind of stuff is always a little bit of a touchy subject. I get it. But you know me, I shoot straight. If you are entering a female division, you should present as female. I hadn't heard about that one. Not sure how I feel entirely because not sure about the criteria. Like that's a clear no in bikini, in my opinion. Yep, good points. It's actually a really good point. I'm going to pull up the rules for you guys too. I'll wait for a few more comments and I'll pull up the rules while we're waiting too. So that way I'm not just talking at you. You can see the actual rules. People can do what they want. She should be allowed to compete. I think she probably wouldn't get placed well. Let's see. We got we got. Is this competitor transitioning? From what I've seen, no, the competitor is not transitioning. Any other comments? All right, well, I'm going to share the rules with you right now. Okay. So here are the official rules for women's physique. So they should be more muscular than figure. We see all they're talking about their muscular development here. Graininess associated with female bodybuilding shouldn't be rewarded. talking about the suits. I'm looking to see if it says anything in regard to facial hair or makeup or tanning or anything like that. So I'm literally just scrolling down through the rules so that you guys can see it along with me. There's one that says judges shall score competitors according to the total package, which is a balance of size, symmetry, and muscularity. And in the actual official rules, we see nothing on here in regard to hair, makeup, suit. Well, suits in there, sorry. Hair, makeup, none of that. It's not in there. No rules in there for women's physique. We know it's written in there for, bikini and all that, but it's not in there for women's physique. Let's see if they have it in here for, that's going to be bodybuilding for men, I think. I don't think that's going to be bodybuilding for women. Let's see. Yeah, that's men. Well, looks like they need to update their rules. They don't even have female bodybuilding in here. So this has got me curious now. So now I'm going on a little bit of a deep dive here for a second. Not really, just kind of clicking through some of this stuff. Go ahead and put your 2 cents in there. I've got my 2 cents, regardless of what the rules say. I have my opinions. Let's see what they got. If they got the rules, if there's anything different on. There's nothing different on fbbpro.com, I don't think. They got all their rules. Women's physique. Let's see. And it goes nowhere. So I'm going to show you what I'm clicking on here. Okay, I'm on ifbbpro.com, and I'm trying to click on the women's physique, but it's not going anywhere. I wonder if it says anything up here. It does not. These are the contests for women's physique, but there's no rules. Oh, wait, no. I take that back. The rules are here. Hold on. Okay, let's see if it says anything here. I mean, they've got stuff on here in regard to their tan. So this is the only place where I could see where this might come into play. It says competitors are prohibited from presenting themselves in any sort of a vulgar, obscene, profane, indecent, lewd, lascivious, these are some words, repugnant, shocking, or offensive manner as determined by the event promoter and or more one or more of the event judges in their sole and absolute discretion. Competitors unequivocally agree to accept the decisions of every promoters and or events judges in this regard. If a competitor is not willing to unequivocally agree to accept the decisions of every event event promoters and or event judges in this regard, the competitor should not register to compete in any events. So here is the only part of the rules I think could come into play when it comes to her having to present as a female. right? I personally, now clearly it's not actually written out in the rules, but I personally believe she should be shaven. I mean, if these girls are going to have to do their hair and makeup and wear the blinged out suits and things like that, she should absolutely have to shave. I feel like if it's a female presenting type of class, she needs to present as a female. So she is born female. She is allowed to compete in this division. No problem with that at all. It looks like, from what the pictures I've seen, she looks like she's got a fantastic, phenomenal physique. So I would say this rule right here is the one that would determine she needs to actually shave the beard. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with that? Or do you think that that's something that's a gray area? Yep, this is hard. I think you should compete in the division of your biological sex. And then it sounds like on these technicalities, sounds like the beard may need to go. Maybe you need to present female. Yep. I think that this rule right here written out is vague enough that they can put this underneath that blanket. They can put the beard underneath this blanket, right? I think they probably created this rule for this kind of reason. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure there's some other things that have popped up in the past that particular event promoters, like they have to have some sort of wiggle room. You know what I mean? In order to say this is allowed and this is not, according to their, because when you think about it this way too, like promoters have sanctions. They are the ones solely responsible for that show. So they have to present their show how they want to present it, if that makes sense. So I think this rule is put into place so that those promoters do have the opportunity to say, I don't want this on my stage. I don't want this, or I do want this on my stage, one or the other. So I think this would come down to specifically what the promoter would want to put up there or not, right? Yeah, I think you're right. It's in having a dress code. And I think this also comes down to what people consider to be, feminine and what people consider to be masculine. I personally consider the facial hair to be a masculine trait. And like I said, according to her social media, she does present as if she's masculine. So I think in this regard, since it's women's physique, I think she will need to shave it. In my opinion, if it was my show, I would want her to do that. If I was the promoter of that show, I'd want her to do that. Now, is this going to affect her judging score is the next question, because that's a different thing. If the promoters are allowed to not let you on stage, but if they do you think it should affect her scoring? Do you think the judges should score her down for having the facial hair? Do you think she should be scored down for that? Do you think, this is my question, do you think that the judges should score her down if she has facial hair? Anybody have a opinion on that? Should they score her down because of her facial hair? Not just score down, disqualify for facial hair. I don't know about disqualify, because again, I believe this is up to the promoter's discretion according to this particular rule that we're showing right here. Now, if the promoter says that she's not allowed to get on stage looking like that, then she's not allowed to get on stage looking like that, right? But then at that point, if she's allowed to get on stage, then at that point, should the judges score her down because it is not a feminine trait and this is women's physique? So you've mentioned, you've said your piece that she should get scored down. Down is, I think, it distracts from the physique. I would agree with that. And I'll give you a little bit of an expansion on that too. But I want to wait and see if anybody else has any other opinions before I say anything. Anybody else want to put their 2 cents in? So I'll give my 2 cents. Yes, I think it should be scored down. As you said, a distraction from the physique. I think the judges will automatically score her down. So yes, we talk about this all the time. You don't want to be an apple in a sea of oranges, right? This is a show of comparisons, what you look like next to everybody else. And if something sticks out, regardless if that's physique or presentation wise, that's not a good thing, right? So I believe she should, if she gets on stage as a presenting female with a beard, I believe she should get scored down for that. Is that enough? Like we talk about this too. Is like, is that enough to take her out of the winner's circle if she's, you know, battling between first and second place? I mean, it could be. If it's that close, it could be. You know, we talked about this with Tampa. Taylor, what did Taylor come in, second or third? I can't remember. I think Taylor came in second to Marie. We talked about her hair extensions and how her hair was not full enough in the back. And that could be a determining factor between winning or losing a show. So, you know, if hair on the head, literally hair on the head, can be a problem for the physique, a distraction for the physique, then yes, it should be scored down, right? You know, anything like if your tan is off can be scored down. If your makeup is off, you can be scored down. If your suit is off, you can be scored down. So why not a beard, right? I think the reason why this has been blowing up on social media right now is because I don't think we've ever seen something like this on the pro level before. So this is something where we have to, you know, we have to be paying attention to this. I think she's a pro. I just thought about that for a second. She might not be a pro. I could be wrong. She might be NPC. If she is NPC, then from the shows that or from the pictures that I've seen, she looks friggin' phenomenal. I'm assuming she's a pro based on what I've seen. So if that's the case, if I was her, I would just shave it, you know. We've talked about this before too. It's like at some point you got to make a decision as far as what your stage persona is going to be. That doesn't necessarily mean that's you in real life, but it is your stage persona. So at that point, you know, you've got to create that persona for your stage look. Okay. So if I was her, I would just shave it. You know, if she wants to grow the beard back later, she can, but get rid of it for the stage. I mean, guys do it too. Guys shave their face for stage. Most bodybuilders have some sort of a beard, and then by the time they get on stage, they usually don't. You know, not all of them, but usually they've shaved their beard off. So if dudes can do it, women can do it too. So that's the current drama. That's my 2 cents on this. I believe she can do whatever she liked to in her real life, but, you know, she's playing a character and a role on stage, and that is of presenting as a female in women's physique. So she needs to have those feminine qualities. And there's that. Okay, let's move on to wrapping up the Masters Olympia. So this was a little bit of a shock. Not a lot, but a little bit of a shock with Karine Henich winning this because she was in the top 4 last year. Everybody, when we did this preview, we just assumed that Jessica was going to come in and repeat, but she did not. She came in second. So a lot of the women that we had brought up initially did end up in the top call out. Some of them did not. Some of them did. You know, we brought them up. So we're going to go through them really quickly. And like basically the things that we talked about in the preview came true on stage. So let's take a look at 5th place. So this is 5th. This was Abby. So we're going to get a front pose here. And these photos, I'm going to be honest with you, these photos are very, very rough. So it's difficult to see, you know, what's really going on. There's a little, like some of the areas are blown out, things like that. So we'll do our best. Some of the girls don't have full front shots or full back shots. So it's a little bit difficult to kind of judge from the photos, you know, that kind of thing. So this is Abby. I'm going to go ahead and expand this for you guys too. There we go. All right, here comes Abby. So Abby took 5th place. Same things that we've talked about in the preview is kind of the deal when we're talking about ladies in the Masters division, meaning they have a little bit more muscle. They're a little bit harder. little bit thicker waistlines. A lot of the women in the master's divisions have had children, so things like that. You know, they're not going to have the teeny tiny little waistlines that we're going to see on 22-year-olds. You know what I mean? So in general, when I look at her overall package, I feel like we could get a little bit more glute pop there, a little bit more on this front pose to make it a little bit more S-curved. However, she has a short torso. She has a very short torso here, so there's only so much you can do to manipulate this before you start kind of dumping that lower ab and things like that as well. She needs a little bit more shoulder cap, I would say here. Again, we just need to kind of pop out some of those features to give her more of that cartoonish shape. But when I look at the conditioning here looks really, really good. Nice and full. She's very lean, but she's very full at the same time. I would say she just overall needs a little bit more roundness, like in the glutes and in the shoulders here in this front pose. Let's take a look and see if they have a back pose for her, because like I said, a lot of these don't. Kind of, but she's not really settled into it. So let's see if there's another one. Nope. Just one where she's kind of sort of in it, which is the case for most of these girls, unfortunately. So we'll grab this one right here. Okay. Back shot. So again, she's not fully posed here, so can't completely, judge this, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, again, leanness is great, fullness is great, roundness is great, got really good pop here. Let's go to the next picture. She's literally transitioning in every one of these photos, so that's unfortunate. But you can see like that fullness in the glutes is really, really good. Again, the conditioning is really nice here. I wish we could compare this a little bit better as far as her actual pose, but we're just not posed in any of these pictures. So delts look nice. I'd like to see a full back shot so I can tell you what her back looks like, but it is what it is. Hair is nice, all of that. Yeah. So that was 5th place. And then we have 4th place, which was April. And we'll swap that out. There we go. So April's more on the muscular side. Again, this is a thing when we're talking about masters athletes, because again, they've been in the gym 20 years longer than most of the girls in the open. So they better have more muscle, right? We talked about this before. This is just what happens. That muscle maturity is there. Okay. So from the front, again, sorry, the picture is washed out. She's got really good conditioning. Again, she's a little bit harder than what we would see in the open division, but still really full, nice round pop. I like the suit color and everything too on her. Very well polished, all of that. I'd like to see her open up a little bit more in this front pose, give her a little bit more shape. I just feel like she's very sideways here. So if she could get that upper body just to twist around a little bit more, that would help to create a better illusion with that V taper. I do think she has a little bit too much on the quads here versus the glutes. So probably just needs to watch that. The glute pop is actually very nice here, but still can work on that. And then, yeah, I would say just kind of work on this pose a little bit to get a little bit more of that shape going, which we talk about this all the time too. As we get older, flexibility goes. So you have to work on your flexibility all the time. So that is a big thing as we get into 40s, 50s, 60s, that kind of thing. Mobility is huge, and the people that can be more mobile are going to be able to showcase their physique a whole lot better. So from the back, again, nice fullness. I could see she needs a little bit more. We're a little bit flat here. Like I could see she needs a little bit more projection. She's very, very tight and lean here. We've got those really tight hamstring tie-ins and everything. So I just like to see a little bit more pop, a little bit more projection here. But from the top, with her shoulder width and everything, looks very good. One of the things that's really distracting me on all these photos is you can see over in that left-hand corner, they've got something there that they're focusing that camera on. So we see that blur over there, which is what's making these photos actually blur out a little bit and not look so great. So that's unfortunate because I wish I could see it a little bit better. And we didn't have quite such a rough photo here. anyway, with that, love the hair. Looks beautiful, nice and polished and put together, you know, all of that. Just like to see a little bit more projection on those glutes. She's got some really, really dense muscle here. So I'm sure they were probably trying not to fill her out too hard. Because if you do that, then she looks just massive in that regard. So, you know, it's a balance. It's a balancing game when it comes to this game in general. You don't want to look huge, but you want the fullness as well. So you got to be careful of those kinds of things and just going overboard. Next, we have Noelle. So we did talk about her being a potential threat because she's placed well even in the open divisions. I wasn't a huge fan of her front pose. She sat into it a little bit too much, which did not do her any favors because she already has a little bit of a thicker waistline. And this is something that we talked about when we were previewing. As you can see here, her waistline is not the smallest. So when you sit into it a little bit, she's kind of like pushing into the hip bone. You know, when you sit into it a little bit like that, it actually squishes that waistline and makes you look a little bit shorter and stubbier through the waistline, which doesn't help if you have a thicker waistline. So I just like to see her stand up a little bit more, twist a little bit more. Again, she could use a little bit more shoulders here, which would help to widen her out up at the top, make her waistline look a little bit smaller, all of that. Overall, really beautiful girl in the face, the hair, everything like that. Really, really beautiful girl. Her biggest downfall really though is just her waistline. But when we're talking about masters athletes, that's a thing kind of across the board. A lot of these girls have issues. So we're gonna go to a back shot for her. Let's see if they have a full, they have a full back shot for her. Amazing. Okay, so from the back, looks pretty good here. Again, you can really see where she could use more delts in this back pose. We don't really have any shoulder pop from the back at all. She could be a little bit tighter here from the back. If she could be a little bit tighter from the back, that would help her glutes actually pop a little bit more. But because she's not quite lean enough there with that hamstring tie-in, we just lose some of that pop, right? We don't have that upper outer glute pop. We don't have that projection at us, right? So it's not a bad package, but I think she could have been a little bit tighter in the lower half. And you did notice that from the front with her legs too. Her quads were a little bit, and it could just be water retention or something like that too. She just looks a little bit on the puffy side to me. So, it could be a number of things. It could be she just needed another couple of weeks to diet, or it could be that maybe her peak went a little bit wrong or something along that line. But again, she just needs a little bit more oomph here. I think that she just needs to pull it down another pound or two. But the problem with that too is if she does that, then we're going to lose even more of that upper glute and even more that projection here. So it's a fine-tuned balance at this point for her. I think she just needs to add a little bit more tissue in general to her glutes, and that would be helpful. And we have Jessica in second. So this was a little bit of a shock, but not once I saw photos. Once I saw photos, I understood why she ended up in that second place position. Let me see if I can get a front where she's up at the front. Jessica still has an amazing front pose. Because she again has one of those smaller waistlines in comparison to most of the masters competitors are not going to have this kind of waistline. So that absolutely helps her when she's in these lineups. There we go. So again, beautiful overall shape, right? I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys too. I don't like the dark hair. I miss her as a blonde. I like the blonde hair better on her. I just think it makes her pop better. This just kind of mutes her a little bit. I like the blonde better. But when I look at this, she looks a little bit soft to me. Overall, looks a little bit soft from top to bottom. Shape is still really, really good, but she's a little bit soft. And I don't know if she just wasn't lean enough for this show or if she just needs to add a little bit more size, because to me, it's just a little bit lacking. It's not the same Jessica I felt like I saw from December when she won the Battle of the Bay. So she is qualified for the Olympia this year. But something's going on here where either she just needed a couple more weeks to diet, or maybe she lost a little bit of that muscle density. I'm not really sure, but we're just looking a little bit soft in comparison to what she typically looks like on stage. So let's go back to the back shot. From the front, she gets away with it. From the front, she gets away with it because her waistline is so tiny and all of that. But from the back is where I really saw the difference. Let's see if we got a full shot. We do. We've got a full back shot for her. Yay. So she has a really great like tie-in genetic shape here, but it's just not tight enough. It's just not tight enough. She's got some really nice projection there on her glutes. We've always talked about her needing a little bit more upper glute. I think she still needs a little bit more upper glute, but again, this just looks like she needed to diet for another couple of weeks, or she needs to add a little bit more muscle tissue in the back. Not sure exactly which one it is. Love the shape of the hair up top. Now, again, if it was blonde, it would be perfect. But as far as it being like the shape and the curls and everything, it's perfect as far as how it's hitting her on her lower back. Everything, love that. But again, this is just a little soft to me. I'm not sure where the issue is, whether she needs more size, more density, more tissue, or she just needed to diet a little bit more. But that's really where she got exposed more than anything else is from the back. And then we are going to go to our winner. So Carrie Ann, she actually has been to the Olympia before. She has qualified for the Olympia in the past. She is a Fit Body Fusion coach as well. Actually, back in the day, I used to pose her. So woohoo. Let's look at her front shot. So again, from the front, really, really nice package. Overall conditioning is very good. We have nice round fullness to that muscle. She's got the best shoulder caps in this top 5. 100% has the best shoulder caps here. Waistline is nice and tight. Again, she doesn't have the smallest waistline on stage, but it's nice and tight and her muscle bellies are full. That's the difference here, right? She's not overly pushing into this pose. She's not trying to over pose at all. It just looks pretty effortless here. There's a few shots that I saw when she was in comparisons that looked like she was over posing a touch. So probably just was getting a little bit excited and nervous, and you started seeing those kinds of things. You know what I mean? But here, in her actual individual, this is a very good front pose. So just has to be careful about not over posing sometimes. But because she won this show, that does qualify her for the actual Olympia as well. So she's going to be in the Olympia this year too. And we don't have a full back shot for her either. So this is almost a back shot. But again, so she's almost in this shot, but you can even see in this picture, she's got some really nice projection on those glutes. She does not have the biggest glutes on stage, but she has really nice full roundness. She's really well balanced from top to bottom. Again, the hair hit perfectly. It looks a little long right here, but when she actually gets into the pose, it doesn't sit on her glutes like that. So the conditioning was right on. And again, that width into her shoulders was right on as well. So I think this was absolutely the right call. Again, when you look at full package, she had the best full package on that stage that day. So really, really good job. Now, do you guys have any questions about any of the results from this show? I'm going to leave it open for some comments, questions, anything like that to come in. I'm going to try and pull up a back comparison shot of the first call out so that you guys can see some of these girls fully posed that were not fully posed in some of these photos. Let's see what we got. Maybe back here. What did you guys think? Did you think that they had the right call here? Would you have chosen somebody different? I think we got a full back shot here. Let's see. Yep. Okay. I'm going to share this one while we're waiting to see if anything comes in. There's comments. There we go. Okay. There's your first call out so you can see what their glutes look like when they're fully posed, because some of the individuals did not have those. Any questions here? I mean, it's pretty clear when we look at this photo why Jessica was second, Carrie Ann was first. Any questions or comments or anything that you wanted to say? Top 5. I thought there were better physiques that were top 10 or top 15. To be honest, I didn't go back down and look through the rest of the ladies, but I can tell you that the biggest things that they're looking for in bikini are the waistline and the glutes. Tight waistline, round, bubbly glutes. So I know once they get into the master's ages, the hardest thing is that core control and also getting that pop and that projection on the glutes. So while I didn't go looking through everybody else, I am not surprised by this top call out. I think the Masters women look amazing. I do wish there was more hype and coverage for this show. I'm disappointed in the lack of photos, to be honest. I 100% agree with that. We talked about this. I think it was last week. And there's just not a lot of coverage in general for even the main Open Olympia. I don't really know what's going on with the coverage. I saw a post by Dan Solomon come out, say that they had like 412 tickets left, and that was it. I'm like, okay, but the venue only hosts 5,000 people. So that's a lot of open tickets. We talked about this, like, what is going on? Why are we doing this? So I 100% agree. There was a lack of coverage on this. I was hoping there was going to be a lot more. I know when I competed in Japan last year, it was the highlight of my career. There was a ton of coverage, a ton of media coverage. I don't know if they just didn't have the funds for this. I know this, again, it was different promoters. So like when you're talking Masters Olympia, that's Wings of Strength. When I did the Japan Pro, that was Hidetada and Iris Kyle. So completely different promoters. They put together different shows. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that had something to do with it, but you're right. There was a complete lack of hype. Like we didn't even know who was competing in it up until like when the pro list came out. So I don't really know. I don't know. I would watch some videos from the show, like people took in the audience, and it felt like there was like nobody even there. There's no screaming, none of that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I don't really know what happened. Anything else you guys had questions about? I'm gonna leave it open for like 2 more minutes. I hope the athletes had a good experience. I know, like I said, when I went over to Japan, it was by far the best experience I've had for a show ever. So I'm hoping they had a similar experience. You travel that far, you want to have a good experience, right? So I'm hoping that they enjoyed it, because that's the other thing too. With the Masters Olympia, they got to pay their own way. With the Open Olympia, they do get a per diem and they get a travel stipend and all that kind of stuff. You don't get that with Masters Olympia. Which I do understand, to be perfectly honest with you. We talked about this Behind the Bikini last week about some of the things we could do in order to make the Olympia more exciting and hype things up and things like that. And one of the things I thought about was having like a world championship where there's representatives from each country. I felt like that would be cool, kind of like what they do for the Olympia, or not the Olympia, the Olympics. They do like Olympic trials. You know what I mean? The biggest thing is that when the Olympia first began, we didn't have as many countries involved. We didn't have as many competitors involved. Now we do. Now we have countries around the world that are all participating in this sport. And there's got to be a way to narrow people down before they get to the actual Olympia stage beyond just winning a show, right? Because there's like a show in Timbuktu that nobody's ever heard of, and that person is qualified to come to the Olympia. So I feel like if we had some sort of a qualification system for each country, I think that would be actually a lot of fun, because then countries would have loyalty to their competitors. That would create loyalty and community as well. You'd want to see your country's competitors make it. So same thing as what we do through the Olympics, Team USA, right? Or, Team UK or team this or team that or whatever. I think it'll be fun. So if we could do something like that to hype up even the Masters Olympia, I think that would be fun. But anyway, we got some more shows coming up this weekend. More Olympia qualifications on the line, as always. So there'll be more people, right? So with that, guys, I'm gonna let y'all go. We talked about some drama and we talked about a major show, which is what we're gonna do from now on. We're gonna have some sort of content piece along with the wrap up. So hopefully you guys like that. And feel free to type in afterwards if you come back and watch this again and you think of something that you want to contribute. Feel free, because I do read the comments afterwards as well. We can have more discussions. All right. So with that, you guys, I'm gonna let y'all go for the night, and let's see who qualifies for the Olympia this week. Good night, you guys.